The rain hammered against the window of the cramped Brooklyn apartment like bullets against armor. Major David Shun pressed his palm against the cold glass, watching water streak down in chaotic patterns. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed through the October night, a sound that once meant danger, now just the white noise of home.
You're doing it again.
Sarah's voice cut through his thoughts like a blade. David turned from the window. His wife sat curled on their second-hand couch, laptop balanced on her knees, auburn hair catching the blue glow of the screen. Even after 15 years of marriage, she still took his breath away. The way she tucked her legs beneath her, the small scar above her left eyebrow from a childhood accident, the way she chewed her bottom lip when concentrating.
Doing what?
He asked, though he already knew.
Staring into nothing, like you're still over there.
She closed the laptop with a soft click.
David, you've been home for 6 months.
Home. The word felt foreign in his mouth, like speaking a language he'd forgotten. He moved away from the window, his left leg stiff from an old shrapnel wound. The apartment smelled of Sarah's vanilla candles and leftover Chinese takeout, so different from the dust and cordite that had filled his lungs for 3 tours in Afghanistan.
I'm trying,
he said, settling into his recliner, a welcome home gift that creaked under his weight. Sarah's green eyes softened.
I know you are, but maybe we should talk to someone. Together.
We're talking now.
You know what I mean. Dr. Martinez said couples therapy could help us reconnect.
David's jaw tightened. Dr. Martinez, the base psychiatrist who'd cleared him for discharge. Another stranger who thought they understood what it meant to carry the weight of other men's lives on your shoulders.
I don't need to reconnect. I need time.
The lie tasted bitter. Truth was, he felt like a ghost in his own life. Everything seemed muted, distant. Even Sarah's touch, once electric, now felt like an echo of something he'd lost in the mountains of Kandahar. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. A text message from an unknown number. We need to talk. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Central Park, Bethesda Fountain. Come alone. Marcus. David's blood turned to ice. Marcus Rodriguez, his former sergeant, his best friend, the man he'd left bleeding in a poppy field 8 months ago.
Who is it?
Sarah asked, noticing his expression.
Wrong number.
He deleted the message with trembling fingers.
Just spam.
Just spam. But Sarah was studying his face with the intensity she reserved for her legal briefs. As a prosecutor for the Manhattan DA's office, she'd made a career of reading lies.
David, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Maybe I have.
He thought, because Marcus Rodriguez was supposed to be dead. The next afternoon, David stood at the edge of Bethesda Fountain, hands buried deep in his coat pockets. October in New York carried the promise of winter. Sharp air that cut through his jacket leaves the color of dried blood scattered across the ground. The fountain's bronze angel seemed to watch him with hollow eyes. He told Sarah he was going to the VA for a routine appointment. Another lie to add to the growing collection. Each one felt like a small betrayal, widening the gap between
You always
them.
were punctual.
David spun around. Marcus Rodriguez emerged from behind a cluster of tourists, moving with the careful gait of a man who'd learned not to trust his own body. His left arm hung at an odd angle, and a jagged scar ran from his temple to his jaw. But he was alive. Impossibly, infuriatingly alive.
Marcus.
David's voice came out as a whisper.
How?
How am I breathing?
Marcus's smile held no warmth.
Good question. You left me for dead, Hermano. Took the medic 6 hours to find me.
The world tilted sideways. David gripped the fountain's edge, knuckles white against the stone.
The mortar strike. The building collapsed. I searched for you.
But you had orders.
Marcus moved closer, and David caught the smell of cheap cologne mixed with something medicinal.
Lieutenant Colonel Hayes needed that intel. The mission came first.
But you know it wasn't like that.
Do I?
Marcus pulled out his phone, swiped to a video file. The screen showed grainy footage from a helmet cam, David's helmet cam. In the video, Marcus lay pinned beneath concrete rubble, his mouth moving soundlessly, and David, standing over him, speaking into his radio.
Rodriguez is Kia. I repeat, Rodriguez is Kia.
David's legs nearly gave out.
I thought you were dead. There was so much blood.
I was unconscious, but I could hear everything.
Marcus pocketed the phone.
You told them I was dead so you could complete the mission, so you could get that promotion you wanted so badly.
The accusation hit like a physical blow.
That's not true.
Isn't it, Major?
The rank came out like poison.
You got your oak leaves. I got a medical discharge and a disability check that barely covers rent.
Around them, tourists laughed and took photos. Children threw coins into the fountain, making wishes. The ordinary world continuing while David's crumbled.
What do you want?
He asked. Marcus smiled, and for a moment, David glimpsed the friend he'd once known. The man who'd shared his MREs and covered his back in firefights. The man who'd been best man at his wedding.
Justice.
Marcus said simply.
Or maybe just some payback.
He dropped a manila envelope at David's feet.
Photos, audio recordings, enough evidence to end your marriage and your career. Sarah's quite the prosecutor, isn't she? Wonder how she'd feel knowing her war hero husband abandoned his best friend to die.
David stared at the envelope as if it were a live grenade.
Marcus, please. We can work this out.
Can we?
Marcus's voice grew harder.
You moved on, got promoted, came home to your pretty wife and your comfortable life, while I spent 3 months in a field hospital learning to use my arm again.
I tried to find you after I got back. Your family said?
My family thinks I'm dead too. Easier that way.
Marcus turned to leave, then paused.
24 hours. David, tell Sarah the truth, or I will.
The subway ride home passed in a blur of fluorescent lights and rattling steel. David clutched the envelope like a lifeline, his mind replaying that day in Kandahar over and over. The sudden mortar barrage, the building collapse, Marcus's blood pooling in the dust. He had searched for his friend, but when the Taliban counterattack began, he'd made a choice. The mission or Marcus. He'd chosen the mission, and in that moment, with enemy fire closing in, he'd convinced himself Marcus was dead. Had to be dead, because the alternative, leaving a wounded friend behind, was unthinkable. Except he had thought it, and done it. The apartment smelled of garlic and rosemary when he opened the door. Sarah stood in their galley kitchen, stirring something in a pot, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She'd changed out of her courtroom armor into jeans and his old army t-shirt.
Hey,
She called over her shoulder.
how was the V?
Fine.
The word came out automatically, another brick in the wall he was building between them. She turned, wooden spoon in hand, and studied his face.
You look pale. Everything okay?
David opened his mouth to tell her everything. About Marcus, about the choice he'd made, about the weight he'd been carrying since he came home. The words crowded in his throat, desperate to escape. Instead, he said,
Just tired.
Sarah's smile flickered.
David, we need to talk.
His heart hammered against his ribs. Did she already know? Had Marcus contacted her?
I got a call today
She continued,
from Dr. Martinez. He said you missed your appointment.
relief and guilt warred in his chest.
I rescheduled.
To when?
The lie came easier this time.
Next week.
Sarah set down the spoon and crossed him. When she reached up to touch his face, he flinched involuntarily. Her hand froze halfway to his cheek.
David, what's happening to us?
Her voice broke slightly.
You're slipping away, and I don't know how to reach you.
He wanted to tell her, wanted to pull her close and confess everything. Let her strong hands hold him together while he fell apart. But the envelope in his coat pocket felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds.
I'm right here.
He said,
No, you're not.
tears gathered in her eyes.
You haven't been here since you got back. Maybe you never came back at all.
The truth of it hit him like shrapnel. He hadn't come back. Part of him was still in that rubble-strewn street, still making impossible choices, still living with the consequences.
Sarah, hi.
Her phone buzzed on the counter. She glanced at it, frowning.
Unknown number.
She swiped to answer.
Hello?
David couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but he watched Sarah's face change. The color drained from her cheeks. Her free hand gripped the counter for support.
I'm sorry, who is this?
She asked. More silence. Then,
I think there's been a mistake.
but her eyes were on David now, wide with growing understanding.
No.
She whispered into the phone.
No, he told me you were dead.
The confrontation happened in their living room, with Sarah pacing like a cage prosecutor and David slumped in his chair like a defendant awaiting sentencing. The envelope lay open on the coffee table between them, its contents spread out like evidence at a crime scene. Photos of David and Marcus in Afghanistan, audio recordings of radio transmissions, and Marcus's medical records documenting injuries that should have been fatal but weren't.
8 months.
Sarah said, her voice deadly quiet.
For 8 months, you let me comfort you over losing your best friend. Let me hold you while you cried his name in your sleep.
I thought he was dead.
David's voice sounded hollow even to himself.
The recordings say otherwise.
She stopped pacing, facing him across the room like an opponent in court.
You called him Kia while he was still breathing. You left him.
The Taliban were closing in. If I'd stayed,
You would have died together.
Sarah's professional mask cracked, revealing the hurt underneath.
That's what brothers do, David. They don't abandon each other.
I had a responsibility to my unit. To complete the mission.
What about your responsibility to Marcus? To me?
She gestured at the evidence.
How long have you been lying to me?
The question hung in the air like smoke. Because it wasn't just about Marcus, was it? It was about every night he'd pretended to sleep while staring at the ceiling. Every time he'd flinched at her touch. Every conversation where he'd nodded and smiled while his mind was thousands of miles away.
I wanted to tell you.
He said,
When? After our marriage fell apart? After you drank yourself to death? I'm a prosecutor, David. I know what guilt looks like. I've been watching it eat you alive for months.
Thunder rumbled outside, and rain began pattering against the windows again. The sound that had been comforting the night before now felt ominous.
He wants to destroy us.
David said quietly.
Maybe we've already done that ourselves.
Sarah sank onto the couch, suddenly looking older than her 38 years.
God, David. Marcus was at our wedding. He gave that speech about brotherhood, about having each other's backs forever.
The memory hit like a physical blow. Marcus in his dress blues, raising a glass of champagne, his young face bright with possibility. To David and Sarah, and to the bonds that never break, no matter how far apart we are.
I can fix this.
David said desperately.
I'll talk to him. Make him understand.
Understand what? That his best friend left him to die?
Sarah shook her head.
There's no fixing this, David. The only question is what we do now.
Before he could answer, her phone rang again. Marcus's number flashed on the screen. Sarah looked at David for a long moment, then answered.
What do you want?
David could hear Marcus's voice through the speaker, tinny but clear.
I want him to know what it feels like to lose everything, the way I did.
And destroying our marriage accomplishes that?
Does it? Or does it just reveal what's already broken?
Sarah's eyes met David's across the room. In them, he saw not just hurt and betrayal, but something worse, pity.
You don't have to do this.
She said into the phone.
David made a mistake. Terrible mistake. But he's paying for it.
Is he? He came home to a hero's welcome, got promoted, has a beautiful wife who adores him.
Marcus's voice grew colder.
While I can't lift my left arm above my shoulder and wake up screaming every night.
What do you want from us?
David called out. The line went quiet for so long that David thought Marcus had hung up. Then,
I want you to tell the truth, all of it, to your commanding officer, to the army, to the world.
They'll court-martial me.
They will.
Sarah closed her eyes.
And if he doesn't?
Then tomorrow morning, every major news outlet gets copies of everything. The photos, the recordings, the medical reports. Your war hero husband becomes the soldier who abandoned his brother in arms to save his own skin.
The line went dead. David stood at the window again, watching rain streak down the glass. Behind him, Sarah sat in silence, the weight of their fractured marriage settling between them like debris from an explosion.
What are you going to do?
He thought about the choices that had led them here. The split-second decision in Kandahar. The lies he'd told himself and others. The distance he'd created between himself and everyone he loved.
I'm going to tell the truth.
Even if it means prison?
He turned to face her, really seeing her for the first time in months. The woman who'd waited for him through 3 deployments. Who'd learned to sleep alone and wake up afraid. Who'd never stopped believing in the man she'd married, even when he'd stopped believing in himself.
Especially then.
Sarah nodded slowly.
It won't bring Marcus back. Won't undo what you did.
No. But maybe it'll help me figure out how to live with it.
They sat together on the couch as the rain continued to fall. Not touching, but present. For the first time since he'd come home, David felt like he was actually in the room instead of watching from somewhere far away.
What happens to us?
David considered the question. Their marriage, built on trust and partnership, had been undermined by months of lies and emotional absence. But beneath the damage, something remained. Something worth fighting for.
I don't know, but I'd like to find out.
Sarah
If
looked
you're
at
willing.
him for a long moment, studying his face like she was seeing him clearly for the first time in months.
It'll be hard. The trial, the media attention. I might lose my job. You'll definitely lose yours.
I know.
And I can't promise I'll be able to forgive you. For Marcus or for lying to me. Then
I
let's
know
start
that
with the
too.
truth, all of it.
She
No
nodded,
matter how much
then
it
surprised
hurts.
him by taking his hand. Her fingers were warm against his palm, real and solid in here. Outside, the storm was beginning to pass. The rain softened to a gentle patter, and somewhere in the distance, David could hear the sound of the city waking up to a new day. It wouldn't be an easy day, or the days that followed, but for the first time since coming home, Major David Shun felt ready to face whatever came next. The sound of silence, he realized, was finally breaking,